Welcome to Planners on Purpose. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Ashley Jackson Thompson with Timeless Dream Events. Ashley, so good to have you here.
Thank you, Naomi. I really appreciate the time and just you asking me to be here. I really do.
Yes, it will be wonderful. I'm excited for our discussion. And I am really in love with your purpose, and I want all of my listeners to hear all about your business. So just tell us a little bit about how Timeless Dream Events got started.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it short because I know I can go on and on forever. My purpose is near and dear to my heart. It's literally my muses have been two great men in my life. The first was my father, and now my husband. Just to give you a abbreviated short version of how Timeless Dream Events came to be. Um, Basically, back in March of 2017, well, let me rewind. January 1st of 2017, my boyfriend became my fiance.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a perfect plan. He's got a little planner in him too. I found that out. But he proposed to me on January 1st, 2017, in front of Cinderella's castle at Disney World. I'm a little obsessed with Disney World. So it was really magical for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. um, Fast forward a couple months to March 28th of 2017. I'll never forget that date. He was actually diagnosed with a rare cancer in stage 4.
Wow.
And I'm just like, really? We just got engaged literally 2 months ago. And now you're telling me he has a rare cancer. And not only that, it's in one of the last stages.
And it was totally a surprise for you. So you,
Y- Right.
oh,
Right. Because
wow.
he's normally, overall healthy.
Hmm.
Um, and the only thing that brought us to wanting to get him checked over was because we noticed a knot like on his forehead, which
Hmm.
the cancer was started in his nasal cavity. So that's why we noticed a protrusion.
Okay.
Um, we jumped right into whatever the doctor suggested. We didn't have time for, second opinions and
Mhm.
third opinion. We didn't have time for that. It was stage 4 rare, right? So,
Take
we
action.
started, yeah. So we went to all the treatments, the chemo. He had really nasty, harsh chemo to start. Then he had a localized radiation, which was really special, and only I think a dozen hospitals in the United States has this localized radiation. They used it for him, and then he had which we thought the tumor had, went away or shrunk. Well, surprise, it didn't. So December of 2017, he had a major surgery, which left him without his left eye, a part of his nose, and a part of his skull.
Wow.
So
That's life changing.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And uh, I really like to emphasize this. We were still engaged. Like we hadn't you know, promised our love forever in front of God and man yet. So I'm helping him with his battle because
Mm-hmm.
when a loved one is diagnosed, it's a whole family affair, right?
Oh, yeah, and you're in love
Um,
with somebody, so
yeah.
it's one of those things
Yeah.
you're there for.
Um, I'm planning our wedding at the same time as his hospital's 1.5 hour away from where we live one way. So, some days we were doing a 3 hour car ride, down and back. Um, but it's what we had to do to, keep him, get him healthy and stay alive, basically. So this whole time I'm like, can we just like postpone our wedding? I'm not saying not get married, just let's wait till 2019 or 2020. Thankfully we didn't wait till 2020. But
Right. Because who knows what would,
Yeah.
what would happen then.
But he said, no, I'm not sitting in this, chemo chair getting pumped full of this stuff and getting sick for nothing. I want to see you walk down the aisle. I said, okay, I can't deny that. So um, thank God we did make it to um, August of 2018, and we got married in front of our closest friends and family. Um, it was awesome. Like, it was the best day of my life. I know a lot of brides will say that, and it truly can be the best day of your life. um, and so we went on to our honeymoon. When we got back from our honeymoon, we had another follow up with his doctor. And when she entered, I just kind of felt her presence. It was off. I just knew something wasn't right. At that point, she had told us that his tumor was growing again, and she told me to call hospice. Now, I heard this 3 days after we got back from Paradise on our honeymoon, to call hospice for my now husband. We've only been married for 2 weeks.
Huh.
um,
Wow.
so, working through all those emotions, Troy wanted to fight still because we had exhausted all of the chemo that's available for this area.
Mm.
He is never allowed ever again to have radiation in this area. He has had the max amount
That one
in
can
that
have it
area
all.
that
Wow.
one can have in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So we had exhausted all treatments at that time. So, but he's saying, well, we're going to figure out a way to fight. So I said, okay, that's what you want to do. We're going to do it together. About a week or two later, his doctor calls me and tells me that we reviewed his case and it looks like it might not be tumor. It might be scar tissue called necrosis that can look like tumor. But the only way that they can figure out if it's tumor or this scar tissue, we have to open him back up again. And I'm like,
Oh
oh.
my.
So what other choice do we have? We have to figure it out, right? So we go into this next surgery. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was worried because the first one was, really scary and life changing.
Mm.
So this time they had to take a little bit more from his skull, and they actually had to remove a part of his brain
Wow.
because it had cracked even more of his skull open and actually started like diving into the brain.
Mm.
So, and I was worried because the part of the brain that they took affected mood
Mm.
and a little bit of memory. So I'm like, oh gosh, me being the dramatic person I am, I'm like,
They say short-term memory, long-term.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm like. Oh my God, is he gonna wake up and not know who I am? Because like,
Right.
how am I going to deal with that? But it was all fine. The only thing and I tease him still to this day, the only thing he forgets is that when we went to go see a movie together, like a month prior, and he always tells me all about it. Still to this day, he can't remember that we saw it together, and he'll tell me all about this movie. But I mean, that's the only thing that he forgot. And I'll take that. It could have been a
Mhm.
lot worse. So, then fast forward to March of this year, 2020, he was declared cancer free. Woo,
That's
praise God.
awesome. Yeah.
So my husband beat a rare stage 4 cancer, and he is still, still cancer free. We had, excuse me, our 6-month scans, and he's still cancer free. And I say we a lot. You'll have to forgive me, but every time we were in it together.
You're a unit, right?
Yeah. um, so uh, you know, sitting there, and I had, as a caregiver, if you have any caregivers that listen in, they'll understand that you give your all to that person that you're caring for because you want them to live, you want them to have a nice, healthy life, as healthy as they can type
Mhm.
of life. Um, and you lose yourself. You don't take care of yourself, and that's what happened to me. I just totally lost myself because I put like 99% of myself into my husband Troy.
Mm.
And so when it came to a point where I'm not having to drive him up and down the highway, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, what does Ashley want in life? Now I don't have to put all of my attention into his treatment. So
Mhm.
what am I supposed to do? Well, COVID hit, and everybody stay indoors because you can't go anywhere. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is a time where I can sit and think about what Ashley wants to do.
Mhm.
So in May of this year, I invested in myself and hired a business coach. And through our talks and the writing that I had to do, my we took my likes, my dislikes, some of my pain that I've been through in my life.
Mhm.
Like I lost my father
Mm.
suddenly back in 2011. And then I almost lost my husband through
Mhm.
his cancer process. So having all those pains in my life with two of the most important men in my life, um, timeless dream events became to be.
Mhm.
I have always loved to plan
Mhm.
events, but I wanted something with a purpose.
Mhm.
And this is it. I plan any type of event, whether it's a celebration of life, wedding, birthday, shower, whatever, for
Mhm.
the terminally ill patients and their families, their loved ones,
Mhm.
and anybody in any kind of like life altering situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be terminally ill. It could be someone that may be chronically ill.
Mhm.
Um, but my biggest, my passion I like to lead with is seeking out the caregivers and letting
Mhm.
them know that they're not alone, letting them know that they are appreciated and loved.
Mhm.
And that's how Timeless Dream events came to be, was through my pain. Actually, from losing my father, I
Mhm.
planned charity events in
Okay.
his honor because I do also run a scholarship foundation in his honor and memory. So I planned events surrounding that. And also just, just birthday parties and stuff for family. Never did I ever think, did it click until this year to turn it into a purposeful
Mhm.
business.
Mhm. That's amazing. That's so much great. And I feel like because COVID is happening, there's so much risk that's involved in launching a business during this time. Do you feel like you were ready for that? Just take me through your feelings on how you actually made that decision to say, I'm going to do this, and this is the time for me right now.
Yeah, I believe it was a divine time. It was my time. I I literally maybe within a month of him being pronounced cancer free, I broke down because I was so frustrated with myself and not knowing what I wanted to do because the past 3 years I had devoted all of my time and thoughts into, gosh, is Troy, my husband, going to survive? And now that he has a good prognosis, what am I supposed to do with me now?
Mhm.
So, I was it crazy to launch a new business during a pandemic? Yeah, but for the people that know me, know that I love crazy. So, um, a lot of people when I launched, I had such a huge support system, and because of the story, people really came out to support. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, well, you should have been doing this a while ago."
Oh.
And so, and it's so
So it
funny
was
how
in you.
something,
They felt like it was in you that you should have been
yeah.
doing it a long time ago. That's interesting how your purpose could be just right there. You don't even notice it, but other people do.
And that's exactly what I was about to say because, I'm like, well, because I was having a conversation with one of my good friends. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me like I should look into it? And she said that it wasn't for me to tell you.
Hmm.
You had to figure it out yourself.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. So tell me about your customer base. I know you said caregivers, um, but how do people normally find you for planning these type of events? Because it is definitely a niche in the event space. So how do you go about finding your clients and your customers?
Yeah, so I have gotten really involved with, caregiver spaces as
Hmm.
far as, just following on social media, um, joining caregiver groups. I actually created my own caregiver group that
All that.
yeah, I admin, and we give tip. It's literally called Treat Yourself. Caring for the caregiver, treat yourself, because caregivers, we do such a horrible, horrible job of taking even 15, 20 minutes to just
Breathe.
hmm.
Hmm.
And so I offer tips and suggestions for people to take that can't afford to, or just don't have the time to, go off to a spa day. A treat yourself moment is not always going to some luxurious spa day or spending ton of money on Rodeo Drive. Like, it can literally be taking, mom, husband, son, I am sorry, but I need to take 15, actually, I'm not sorry. I need 15 to 20 minutes to myself for meditation, or I want to read a chapter of this book. Um, you know, I once we put that person to bed, maybe taking a hot shower, those sort of things, that I offer tips to my group and to larger caregiver spaces as well. So that is how, excuse me, I have been finding clients. And by just leading with my purpose, I have been able to book clients that aren't necessarily terminally or chronically ill. They just want to book with me because of my purpose,
Hmm.
which I found it was a blessing and humbling, because I'm like, wow, you're not even in my audience, but you
Hmm.
found me
Hmm.
and
And
you
I feel like
want,
that
yeah.
speaks to how unique you are as a person,
Excuse me.
your experience, what you bring to the table, that you've walked through an experience like that. That all helps people find your unique voice, right, in the world. So I feel like that's just wonderful that people are finding you and they see that this is something that is uh, worth it for them and it's important to them. So how is planning these situations, terminally ill, chronically ill, or just life changing events, how is that different from planning any other type of event, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think you have to have a listening ear more so. I mean, as you know, a planner needs to sit there and listen to their client, but it's more it's different because it's a delicate situation, right? Sometimes these people are coming to me and they don't know if they're going to actually be able to walk down
Right.
the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just the same space I was in. You know, I was planning
Mm-hmm.
for it, and I was wishing and hoping and praying for the best, but we weren't sure if it was actually going to come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, and the timing w- will and probably be more different than a regular, I won't say regular um, event, but someone might hear news about their, girlfriend, boyfriend, or their mother, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
um they have months to live, and oh shoot, we never got married. Like, who are we going to find in such a short amount of time to pull all this together? And that's where
Right.
a lot of vendors that I work with, they understand. They know me. They may even know me personally, so they know my personal purpose tied to this business, and they can act and fall into place rather quickly.
Mm.
So I think that's
Right.
what makes it different.
Yeah, and there's that an extra level of patience. I feel like event planners are definitely patient, but there's that extra level of grace maybe and patience that might come with understanding and knowing that situation and that things could change last minute and plans may change, and even
Yeah.
planning for those specific situations where, hey, my loved one may not even make it down the aisle, but we do need to plan for both types
Yeah.
of scenarios. So,
Yeah. So here recently, my husband Troy did lose his father,
mm,
and I we didn't get a chance to do a celebration of life with him present, which I think is so important. Like, celebrate the people, give them their flowers now when they can smell them. But it's okay. We were able to plan a celebration of life, in with him in spirit. And my mother-in-law, who doesn't say much,
mm,
told me that it was a beautiful celebration of life, and she was so happy that, I did it for her because she just wanted to show up. That's all. She just said, I just want to show up. And my husband said the same thing. Like, do what you do, because our family we just want to show up. Like, we don't want to deal with anything. I'm like, all right, I've got you all. So,
mm,
and just talking with her and my husband and his brother about, the specifics of what they would like to see, and giving them the grace to work through it, because it's going to take time. Even though there might not be enough time, it still is
mm,
going to take time, because you're also trying to process, like, well, he's gone. Or even if the person isn't gone yet, they're still grieving the eventual loss of that person.
mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
while I'm planning my wedding, I'm I was also having to grieve, okay, what if he passes before the wedding? Or
Mm,
what if we do get married and I'm having to grieve the loss of the perfect life that I had in my head of how we were going to live our lives.
mm, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's a lot of emotions that go on in this type of planning.
Mm-hmm,
But since I've lived through it and I understand those emotions, I feel like I can be more sympathetic and,
mm-hmm.
and give my clients the grace that they need and deserve.
Right, absolutely. Like, I totally agree. And it's more planning really with that emotion, planning, understanding that emotion that's there, understanding what's needed during specific times, when certain events may happen as you're leading up to the big event for your client, and just really tapping into that empathetic and that side of
Yeah.
you to be able to service them well. So, what has been your biggest struggle when planning these types of events for you as an event planner with your business?
I guess the biggest struggle is just, knowing that thin line of, coming on too strong versus, giving them their space. Because when I get, attention or noticed, like, someone wanting to book a call with me, I get excited,
Mm-hmm.
but you just have to hear them out and see where they are
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. Some might get back to you, and
Mm-hmm.
others you just need to let go. Like, it's going to be okay. Someone else will come along.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just weren't for them or they weren't for you. So it's just knowing that thin line of being seen as, like, maybe pushy,
Mm-hmm.
because especially with the delicate situation, I never want a potential client to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I just have such a huge passion for this. I can be super excited, but I want to make sure that I always keep it toned down to a point where people feel comfortable. And I
Mm.
feel like they do. Like I
Yeah.
said, I've booked people that aren't chronically and terminally ill, just from my they must be able to hear the passion in my voice. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's a really great point to highlight too. Is that sometimes when you're planning for other clients, that there you have to be really empathetic or tune into, let's say, their emotional level around the event and adapting how you respond. Because especially if
right,
it's a delicate situation, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that and
right,
you're tuning in and hearing them, right?
right. And I feel like I
So.
can read a room really well. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's more somber, I'm not gonna walk in and be like, "What's up, party people?" But I like to listen and hear people out and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, we talked about your biggest struggle, but I know that we have obstacles that we have to jump over. Um, Tell me about how you jump over yours. Tell me about how you are able to become victorious over your struggles. I know you mentioned how you were victorious over just giving so much, right, to the situation which was needed at that time. But really, just share how you were able to stand up and now have your own business and what made you become victorious over the struggles that you had.
Yeah, so I like to s- I like the theme of uh being a victor versus a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Sometimes life throws us curveballs and I don't know why they happen.
Mm-hmm.
They just happen and sometimes they stink and you just have to walk it out. I choose to live my life in a way, and a lot of how I operate and think now is based upon dealing with my father's, how I feel, his untimely death, and just going through this process with Troy. you know I can choose to be a victim and you know curl up in a ball and cry and stay in the house forever, but I choose to get out in the world, you know try to look at the bright side of things. We all have our moments, don't get me wrong, we all have our moments, but I make an intentional effort with my time each day because I know how short it is. My dad passed away in his 50s. My husband is going to be turning 41 later this month. Like and he's had this happen in his lifetime already. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just don't know what's going to happen each day. So
Mm-hmm.
why live it in fear? Why live it curled up in a ball crying? I
Mm-hmm.
just choose to be more intentional with my time, and I want to spread you know, laughter and love. I
Mm-hmm.
love to laugh. I love to smile. So that's how I choose to live my life.
Yeah. And how does that differ from how you were before? Just because a lot of what I do is really talk about how we need to prioritize what we do in our lives. We have to live more intentionally in aligning ourselves to what those intentions are every single day. And it really is a daily decision. It's a decision that you make with
Mhm.
everything that you do.
So
So
true.
tell me how you were managing to live on purpose now, and what was a priority for you then or not, and what is now for you.
Yeah, so I mean, a priority for me was to make sure that my, boyfriend, fiance, now
Hmm.
husband survived. Like that was
Hmm.
it,
That was it.
you know. And then, because he was going through all this horrible treatment, he wasn't working. So of course I'm the breadwinner, the cook, the clean. I'm the
Everything.
everything on top of that. So I was that was my priority, was him,
Hmm.
point blank period. Now we are in a better position where I can start or continue to think about um, how I want to grow in this business,
Mm-hmm.
who else I can help on the caregiver side of things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, well, especially during this year, family caregivers have been put into a spotlight because of what's going on this year with COVID.
Absolutely.
It's like the country woke up and was like, "Oh,
There are
you
people we
guys
need
do
to take
all
care
what?
of.
For what? For nothing." Like it's a whole job that you don't get paid for. You do
Mm-hmm.
it out of love.
Yeah.
And so that's my priority now, is to continue to put a spotlight on caregivers alongside with, helping them or helping anyone really that would love like a timeless stream event.
Mm-hmm.
Um so and that's why I put timeless in the name,
Mm-hmm.
because it has to do with time,
Mm-hmm.
but your memories can be timeless. They can
Mm-hmm.
be documented, you know, they can be locked up in here
Right.
in your brain. So that's why I like the
Mm-hmm.
timeless in my business name.
I guess the end result with your husband is that he's doing really well. Probably have to do some maintenance. That's amazing. There are some people though that are in that chronically caregiving
Mhm.
situation. So you were giving your all within a specified amount of time. But for those that have to do that and sustain that for a really long time,
Right.
how do you help support them too through, let's say, these events that you plan? So to me, I feel like it's twofold. It's not just the person who's actually going through that chronic illness. The caregiver really needs to be helped too, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So it's definitely for the both,
Mm-hmm.
both parties. It's not just for the ill
Mm-hmm.
person. It's for both. Like the celebration should be for both, because look at what you both are able to do. Even
Mm-hmm.
though the person that you're caring for might not be able to, you know, fully
Mm-hmm.
participate, they are still there. You are still there, showing up every day for that person. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you deserve a round of applause. You deserve to be appreciated and loved at this event as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so definitely, no matter if it's, you know, a chronicle or, for a specific time frame,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I say that I still am Troy's caregiver, even though it's not a chronic situation, because of the chemo and radiation. There's been, things that have popped up now with the maintenance, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, that I'm still having to care for. And I didn't realize, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
told us and I blocked it out because, listen, we just want him to survive.
Right.
Like, we'll take the consequences after you get us to that
To life.
survival. Yeah. So, and then now looking back, I'm like, did they tell us this? Maybe I should have listened. But it's okay. So I understand that aftercare too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I I can understand every step of a
Mm-hmm.
caregiving journey. And my heart does go out to the caregivers that have to take care of chronically ill
Mm-hmm.
loved ones. It is really sad.
Yeah.
Um, because I got to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and maybe sometimes they don't. So that's why, my platform on Facebook, for the
Mm-hmm.
caregivers group, that's why it's so important. And I try to get caregivers to join, because especially the ones that are taking care of chronically ill loved
Mm-hmm.
ones, it's day in, day out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing support that you offer that exists probably outside of planning events. I just feel like that's such an amazing way that you're impacting your community or the community that cares for other people. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
But I see that you're also had something on your website about subscription box
Yeah.
lines that may be coming out. I would love to hear about that and how that perhaps could be maybe an option for the caregiver and the cared for.
Yeah, so it's actually a treat yourself box.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yep, it,
I like
it
that.
ties yeah, it ties with my my Facebook group name for
Mhm,
caregivers. And really I've sold some to people who aren't even caregivers. So I wanted to for Christmas, I wanted
mhm,
to do my first box for those that don't feel loved, don't
mhm,
feel appreciated, and this is a way that family members or friends can send a Christmas gift that for the caregiver. And I have curated different items from small businesses because I think this is very important to support one another, especially in 2020 and beyond. And I actually have added something in the box from another caregiver that owns a small business as well, and I will continue to do that throughout the boxes that I will curate in the future.
mhm,
It'll feature one thing from another caregiver that owns a small business, but everything in this box is just for, someone who, like I said, feels unloved and unappreciated, and they will have that moment to themselves, whether it's in a hot shower, bath, eventually I want to do add books into
mhm.
the boxes. So
Nice.
I'm really excited about the launch. It's gone really well. Like I said, some people who aren't even caregivers have bought some because I did a live box opening on Black Friday, and a lot of people were excited about um, just the story of how even the
Mhm.
box came to be.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. I wish you all the success in that. And they can find that right on your website, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
And the people that do buy the Christmas box, when I do, I'm still going back and forth whether I want to do bi-monthly or quarterly boxes, but the
Mhm.
people that buy the Christmas box will be locked into a special rate for the future boxes. So, yeah, I'm excited and I love to support other small businesses, and they've really uh been awesome with wanting to be a part of the box as well. So I'm really
Okay.
excited.
Really, really fun. So I always ask a few questions of my guests on the podcast, and because I'm a reader, I love to ask this one, and it's really cool that you're going to hopefully put some books in your boxes, your treat yourself boxes. So, want to know about what book you have on your bookshelf that you would like to recommend to the listeners at Planners on Purpose.
Yeah, The Alchemist. It was
Yes, by Paul Coelho,
Paul. Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry, I do not how to say his last name.
I
Yes.
don't either. I'm taking a
Yes.
stab. I hope that's right.
Yes. That actually was a part of the catalyst to me finally like, Ashley, what are you going to change? What are you going to do with your life? And that's why I finally reached out and got a business coach. So that book is amazing. I highly, highly suggest people to read
Mhm.
it. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
he
and
had
it's a
some
quick
follow-up
read.
books too. Oh yeah. He
Mhm.
it really was. I read it in one day.
Mhm.
Couldn't put it down. I couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
Um
I had that experience too with that book. So, quick read, The Alchemist. So, I'll make sure that's linked in the description so everyone can check that out.
yes, it's awesome. And I am working on a book myself. So,
Really?
yes.
Okay.
Um,
So that
so
book will be on many other people's bookshelves soon. So, do you have the name of the book yet, or you
I d-
just
I do
it's
not.
something to look for
Yes,
to?
I'm still in the writing process. So just in the creative writing process, just I the title hasn't hit me yet, but
Okay.
yes, working on it. I want it to come out in February for like a Valentine's Day launch because I
Oh,
know it's going to be um, a true love story of some sort.
oh. Well, your
So
story is perfect for that. So,
yeah, it will.
mhm,
It's going to be a memoir of
mhm.
my love story. So yes, this is the first
That's
time I mentioned
exciting.
it. So now I
Well,
have to get
then
it
it has
done.
to happen. You know what that means.
I
You
have to
put
get
it
it
out
done.
there.
Yes, so
So
I'm
we'll have
excited.
to have you back in several months to talk about your new book as it launches too.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Wonderful. Um, and my second question is, what does leadership mean to you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, leadership can mean a lot of things. Listening to people, taking constructive criticism,
Hmm.
and walking out your passion and purpose, like being true, having integrity is a big one too, because people watch. A lot
Hmm.
of people will sit back and watch. They might not like or comment, but they'll sit back and watch. You can
Yeah.
see all the views, but maybe not as many likes or comments, you know? So I know people sit back and watch, and um, I just want to live my life intentionally and with integrity in any kind of leadership role that I may have.
Mm. Yeah, that's so good. Walk and keep walking and be consistent, right? Because
That's
people
true.
are watching, and that means that you have to be true to yourself and true to your purpose. And it can't be fake because people they'll see that. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So, are there any last words that you have for the listeners of the podcast before we go?
Yeah, so definitely, I've said it over and over again. Definitely what I've learned the most throughout my short life. I'm only 34, but live each day intentionally.
Hmm.
Whether that looks like, you know, opening up your planner for each day, each week, whatever, and writing down what you want to accomplish, writing down your goals for each year. You don't have to wait until 2021 to do that. You can start it now.
Hmm.
Just being more intentional with your time because it's precious. It literally is. I've been through two, two instances in my life where I know time is very precious and it can be very short and sweet. So just seize the day, seize the moment. Absolutely. That would be my lasting
Oh my God.
impression.
That's That's good, and it just really leads into we're doing our next book club is about presence. It's about showing up and being like bold and going into 21, using this year as a springboard into 2021. And yeah, I think your last words definitely highlight what we need to do.
Oh,
Definitely
awesome.
get
Well,
out
I
that
definitely want
planner and put
to.
it out there.
Yeah, I want to join your book club.
Well, yeah, come
Yeah,
on. I would love
yeah,
for you to come.
you have to send me an invite.
I will. I will. I'll
Okay,
send it over.
awesome.
So, Ashley, let everyone know where they can find you. You've dropped so many gems here on the call, and I'm pretty sure there's some that resonate with your purpose and want to further support you. So, tell everyone how they can find you and Timeless Dream events.
Sure. You can find me at www.timelessdreamevents.com. And whether you want to look at some pretty pictures from events that I've hosted or, book a chat with me, look at the subscription boxes, all of that information is on my website. But for quicker access to Instagram or Facebook, you can find me at Timeless Dream Events handles on both social media
Okay.
sites.
Great, thank you. And I'll make sure to link all of Ashley's information in the description below or below the post, so everyone will get that. Ashley, thank you so much for being on the podcast or being here with me in this space. I really enjoyed having you here.
Thank you, Naomi. I appreciate you and your time and your platform, what you're doing.
Thank you.